Welcome back, everybody, to another FAFO. So, Bradley Bartell and Camila Munoz had a familiar small town love story before they collided with immigration politics. So, back during the 2024 election, Bradley Bartell voted for Donald J. Trump, who repeated many times through his campaign that there was going to be a huge mass deportation, and if you aren't a legal citizen, you would be getting deported. Well, Bradley and Camilla had met a few years ago through mutual friends. They had their first date at a steakhouse, and 2 years later, they got married. They were both saving up their money to buy a house and to start having kids. Munoz was already caring for Bartell's 12-year-old son as her own. Last month, February of 2025, the two of them went on their honeymoon to Puerto Rico. And while they were on their way home back in Wisconsin, they were stopped by an immigration agent at the airport. The immigration agent asked Munoz if she was a U.S. citizen, and she answered no, she wasn't. Munoz is from Peru, and her husband had taken the legal steps for her to become a legal citizen with filling out the applications and contacting who they needed to contact at the immigration department. Millions of Americans, including Bradley Bartell, had voted for Donald Trump's promise to crack down on criminal illegal immigrants. Now, just after 8 weeks into his presidency, the mass deportation effort has rapidly expanded into including immigrants whose legal applications for legal status in the United States is still currently under review. Following to what had happened to Bartell and Munoz last month has shown us that even if you are married to a legal citizen, you are engaged to a legal citizen, or if you're just dating a legal citizen, you will still get detained by the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Moving to other cases that have been confirmed through attorneys, family members, and documents that ICE has detained for weeks. A woman in her 50s who had lived in the country for more than 30 years and is married to a U.S. citizen. A woman in her 30s with proof of valid permanent legal residency whose father and siblings are U.S. citizens and who first came into the U.S. as a teen. A European woman in her 30s engaged to a U.S. citizen who overstayed her visa when she was 21 years old. A woman engaged to a U.S. legal permanent resident with whom she has lived with for 9 years. None of these women have criminal records. All of these women were in an ongoing legal immigration process and felt comfortable enough boarding domestic flights. Immigration agents swept each of them up at the airport checkpoints in mid-February in Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. Nora Ahmed, a legal director of the ACLU of Louisiana, said immigrants in legal limbo of any kind should take precautions if they plan to travel. The unfortunate answer is they have to be worried, she said. If you are not a citizen of the United States and you're going through an immigration process, your first thought needs to be, how can this process be weaponized against me? Now, Davis Rojas, an immigration attorney who is representing Munoz, agreed. Anyone who isn't a legal permanent resident or U.S. citizen is at risk, period. Bartell and Munoz wore their wedding rings for the flight home, secure in knowing that the U.S. government knew they had applied for her green card. She overstayed her original visa due to the COVID-19 pandemic that was going on, and she wasn't able to get a hold of anybody, but they reasoned, and she was vetted from the start, worked on a W-2 and paid her taxes. Before agents led her away, Munoz pulled off her wedding ring, afraid it might be confiscated. She shoved it into her backpack and handed it to her husband, Bradley Bartell. Bradley Bartell shook as he watched his newlywed wife disappear. He thought, what the fuck am I gonna do? This right here is when Trump's supporters believe that them and their families are safe. They're wrong. While it's very sad to hear about Camila Munoz being detained by ICE and being deported, Bartell ultimately got exactly what he voted for. Trump stated so many times during his campaign that there was going to be a mass deportation, and this family just found out what happens when you fuck around. FAFO, right here.